Murthy, Kiran, Ashwin, Mr. Jairaj, ladies and gentlemen. It was 65 years ago that we got our freedom, and the founding fathers of our republic had a dream of creating a country where everybody could pursue the great Indian dream. There would be food on the table for everybody. Every child would be cherished and would get an education. People will live in reasonable comfort. There will be protection of life, liberty, and property of every individual. And every individual could lead a good quality of life. Our freedom struggle was led by a group of people who are highly educated, highly articulate, and who were filled with a passion for public service. They were professionals. They were people who could engage with the greatest colonial power in the world, in the language which was then the prevalent one, that of a very liberal democracy in Great Britain. And because their ability to look at a nation where there was no nation, to dream of a nation where there was a collection of states, and to give a vision of one single people bound together by common values, we got our freedom. They sacrificed everything that they had, even their lives, even their profession, but they were leaders, they were thought leaders, they were intellectuals. They had this vision of an India. They had a vision of an India where everybody was equal. They gave the vote to women. They gave the vote to illiterate people who had never voted in their life. And they gave the dream of a liberal democracy in a very feudal system that existed in India since the dawn of civilization. Now, 65 years later, we have not been able to realize the dream. And there have been many reasons why we have not realized the dream. And one reason stands out, and that is the quality of leadership in the political area. After independence, the educated class seemed to have distanced itself from political leadership. Gandhiji wanted to disband the Congress for various reasons. But the political class distanced itself, moved away into the economic sphere, and you're all here as part of an educated elite, highly educated, highly accomplished, well-to-do economically, but you have forsaken politics. You have forsaken what drives a country and what drives a society. Long ago, a very liberal person made a statement, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. And we have not been vigilant in the last 65 years to protect our liberty, to protect our constitution, and to protect our country. And so the distance between the governing class and the governed has widened. It was exemplified when young children came out in the streets of Delhi with hope in their hearts to protest against the rape and murder, the ghastly murder of a young girl. It is unbelievable when they came out spontaneously. I got this image in my mind of Tiananmen Square, where a young Chinese boy stood up before the turret of a tank with a rose in his hand, offering peace when somebody pointed a gun at him. That young lad had tremendous courage and he had hope. And these are the same kind of people, our children, who came forward to fight, whereas we stood back in the comfort of our homes. And what did they get in return? They got water cannons. They were beaten up with lathis. No country beats up its citizens with lathis like India does. Because the Indian state is there to protect the governing class, not the citizens, protect the governing class from its citizens. It's unbelievable what we have suffered. And these children sent a message to everybody that it's time for us to reclaim our republic. It's time for all of us to come forward. And we, the educated urban elite of this country, have to come forward, participate in politics in whatever way. I'm not saying we must stand up for elections, but we must participate and engage with the political class to make sure that the dream that was given to us is realized. So there has been a distance in the last 65 years. We have moved away. But this movement away has had a positive effect too. In 65 years, political power has come down to various sections of our society so that people who have been deprived of political powers for centuries enjoy political power. So the first 2 decades of our independence, we had maybe the top 5 to 10% of our population enjoying political power. Then we had the Mandal Commission, the OBCs had political power. Then we had the Dalit community having political power. So throughout now, political power has come down to various levels of society so that political power is dissipated. When George Soros came to Nandan's house, he asked a question to L.C. Jain. How did 100,000 Britishers conquer this country of 330 million people? And L.C. Jain replied, after much thought, we too thought about this when we fought for freedom. And we realized political power was concentrated in the hands of a few people. So when a new agent came in, removed those people, the people who were ruled didn't care because they said, the king is dead, long live the king. It didn't matter to them. So we decided, he said, we will percolate political power throughout the people, so never again can India be ruled by a small cabal of people who could come from outside or inside. So we have succeeded in pushing political power down through various levels of society, so there is no concentration of political power. Yes, we could quarrel, one family dominates the political landscape, we could quarrel, some groups dominate, but nevertheless, political power is spread throughout, and that is very, very positive because it shows that there has been societal transformation. But then we have a challenge. This percolation of political power has not thrown up leaders who have a vision of India as a whole. It has thrown up leaders who represent sectarian causes. It has thrown up leaders who talk about their constituencies. And their constituency could be a caste constituency, could be the OBC constituency, could be a minority constituency, could be the constituency of the corrupt businessmen, or whatever it is. But they have their own constituencies. If you accept the principle that democracy is a system of competitive lobbies, we do have competitive lobbies, but we don't have a lobby of educated urban people. Nobody cares for educated urban people as a class. So if you want to participate in the political process, you've got to join a caste lobby, you've got to join a religious lobby, you've got to join a lobby of, let's say, the left, or the lobby of the right, or something like that, but you don't have a neutral lobby where educated people can come forth. And let's remember, our freedom movement was led by the highly educated, articulate leadership who had a vision. And therefore, there is a vacuum that has come about, and this needs to be filled. Lastly, and a very important point, 35% of our population is urban. But you know, only 20% of the seats in the state legislature and parliament go to the urban sector. 80% of the seats are for the rural sector. And in another 10-15 years, the total urban population will be 50%. But we are disenfranchised in a sort of a way because we cannot have more seats to represent the population of the urban sector. So as urbanization proceeds, as cities grow, the cities are going to sink into deep morasses because there is no governance. And nobody cares for us, nobody represents us. And that's the reason why representatives did not come to meet those young kids who came out to fight against the rape case because they said, well, you know, they'll all go away. And they're not a constituency. I read in the newspaper, Kamal Nath making a statement in the Shivir in Jaipur. And he said, what happened in Delhi is an aberration. That is not the real India. The real India is in our villages. And he's making the statement is true because they are your electorate. Politicians respond to the electorate. Let's be clear about it. Politicians respond to the electorate because they want to come back to power. And if the electorate stands up and demands something, you're going to get it. And for that, we must have proper representation. And we don't have proper representation, and we are not going to have proper representation till we fight for a cause. In 2004, we had the Delimitation Council committee headed by Kuldeep Singh, which is supposed to look at the seats, the urban and rural areas, and make many seats. It was supposed to be done every 10 years. It has not been done because in 1978, Parliament made a law that the seats 542 in the Parliament and in the state legislature will be frozen because they didn't want it to be decided on the basis of population. Otherwise, UP will rule this whole country. But when they decided to delimit the seats, they decided to do it on the basis of 1991 census, not the 2001 census. Now we finished the 2011 census. So we need to demand that the seats in Parliament and the state legislature within the overall cap is delimited based upon the 2011 census. So number of seats goes up. Take the example of Bangalore. Bangalore has 60% of Karnataka's GDP. But Bangalore has only 28 seats out of 224. Bangalore's population is about 90 lakhs. That's 15%. We don't have enough seats to represent our economic clout, nor the fact that we are got a certain share of the population. Yes, as a democracy, it has to be in the share of the population. And this is one thing that has to be done. And that's the reason why we said we should have a committee or a group of people from Bangalore called the Bangalore Political Action Committee. What our objectives are, what we aim to do, our president will be talking to you. but I just thought I'll give this introduction, welcome you, and tell you the genesis and the theory behind which we were formed, why we all came together to form this committee and to work together for a better Bangalore. Our focus is only Bangalore. We are not apologetic about anything else. We want to focus on Bangalore. We want to focus on all citizens of Bangalore on a very inclusive agenda. But let me say this in the end. Our fight is going to be a long-lasting fight. 10 to 15 years, we have to struggle. We have to work. If we have to remake Bangalore, remake our country, and get the country that was promised to us by our founding fathers. So folks, welcome to the inauguration of B.Pac. And I wish you all the best and invite all of you to join with us in our struggle for better governance for Bangalore and ultimately better governance for everybody. Thank you very much.